Hi, I'm Doug Ross, editorial page editor at the Times, here for an endorsement interview with two candidates for the Lake County Council in the 2nd District, both of them Democrats. We have Andrew Ledbetter and Carolyn Seaton. Also in the room is fellow editorial board member Krista Zavanovic, assistant managing editor. We should begin with, what are your qualifications? Andrew?
Well, first of all, I graduated from Southern University with a BA degree in history and political science.
Okay.
Okay. I feel other requirements, other credentials. I worked for the Lake County Juvenile Center from December of 1980 to August of 98. Then from there I worked at the Lake County. I was a Lake County probation officer from August of 98 to I think 99. I worked at the Gary Sanitation District. I just can't see, I'm thinking of the date. I worked at the Gary Sanitation District as a labor supervisor and labor supervisor. Also in my background, I work for Methodist Hospital and St. Margaret Hospital as a mental health counselor. I was a former motel owner. The name of the motel was the Gotham Motor Inn. We were in business for 28 years. So I was a former owner. It was a family business, and I was a former owner, co-owner, of the motel.
Okay.
Let's see. The county. So I work for the city. I work for the county and private, businesses.
Okay.
And I ran for this position in 2011. And also former president of the Gary Public Library Board from 2006 to 2009. President, of the term, which was 4 years, and of the term I was the president twice. Let's see. I would say that, yeah.
Okay. Carolyn?
Well, mine's not nearly as exciting as Mr. Ledbetter's. My undergraduate degree is from Indiana University, and my graduate studies have been at the University of Iowa, and I've also done graduate work at Purdue, as well as University of Chicago and several other schools. One of the things that I've always worked hard at was working with people. And so my undergraduate degree is in urban studies and sociology with a concentration in urban development. My master's is in urban planning, and that's what I started out doing. My very first job was in Aurora, Illinois, and it was working with grants and working with urban development. From that, I came to the city of Gary as a planner, and have worked in many facets of budgeting, which is something that's very important and very essential for a person who is looking to be a county council person. One of the things that I'm very proud of is that I am involved in over 15 organizations within Northwest Indiana, and I have an extensive background in grant writing, grant proposals, as well as grant management, and in budgeting, and in making sure that projects come in on time and under budget.
Okay. One of the questions we probably should ask first is, what's your biggest funding priority for Lake County? I mean, if you're elected, what would be the first thing you'd want to take care of?
One of the first things that's important to me is economic development and economic stability. When I was with the city of Gary and working in economic development, one of the things that we did was we brought in 25 new companies and we created several thousand jobs. Some of those companies, unfortunately, have left the area. They were major employers. And that's something that I would like to see. If we probably cannot bring those companies back, but I would like to see a concerted effort to grow the tax base.
Okay. Andrew?
Well, I feel the same as her as far as economic development and bringing more jobs back to the city and the county, to all the cities, the neighboring cities of, the cities. Also, I forgot to mention that by me working for United States Steel, I worked at United States Steel as a interviewer, so I know a lot more about the job development and creating jobs and as pushing for jobs. And like she stated about the tax base, and I'm interested with how we're going to use our tax dollars, especially for the county income tax and the casino money, etc. Because we need those, developments.
Okay. Well, what's your strategy for bringing the jobs, Andrew?
Well, we need good advertisement. First, before we can get any jobs, we got to make sure that we have safety and security for the people and for the property owners. We need to increase money, I would think, for the municipal police force, fire department, the county department. And by me being a former worker, I know the wages were never correct, and I've always hoped that we could better the county employees' salaries, especially at the Lake County Jail, the juvenile center, because these people work very hard and diligent. And for the fire department, we need more people. We need to let the people know that we want economic development, but we also want them to be able to shop and enjoy themselves while shopping and feel secured, because our security base has been quite weak.
Okay. Carolyn?
Well, first of all, right now, a great percentage of the county budget is going for the sheriff's department. I would like to make sure that that money is well spent. I would like to make sure that if monies are there, that they are needed. If there is another avenue to get money into that department, I would like to see them actively pursue those. One of the things that we have to be very careful of is that we have to make sure that the companies that are already here stay. We have to make sure that whatever incentives they need are our first priority. If in fact we can grow what's here, that in and of itself will help to bring jobs to Gary and because I would be representing Gary, Calumet Township, unincorporated Calumet Township, and Griffith. Right now, we have to look at what is in Griffith. It's a growing area, so the question becomes, what are we going to do to help them grow? How are we going to, if it even possible for the county to enhance what is there? Is it possible that what is needed there is roads? Is it infrastructure? But what do we need to do on a county level to make sure that Griffith can grow? We need to make sure that the corridor in Tolliston, which is also part of the 2nd District, at one time Tollyman District was a very active and very viable business area. We need to now see what we can do to revitalize that and help those businesses. When you help the small businesses, the mom pops shops, a lot of times they're the ones that will actually hire people. They will make the businesses grow. One of the problems we also have is a lot of our businesses right now are very technical, and we need to make sure that our citizens have, in fact, what is needed to be able to even apply for and work for these jobs. Years ago, one of the companies that I worked very, very hard to bring to Gary was Bavona, which is now Bavona Surgical Supplies. When we brought Bavona here, it was interesting because, number one, we had to find a place. We found an old school. Then we realized, and a lot of people don't realize, Bavona makes, they have over 150 patents for surgical and respiratory equipment. They also make artificial hearts. Bavona at one time was the second largest exporter out of the state of Indiana. Not Northwest Indiana, but out of the state. We need to make sure, and when this company started, no one knew how to work with raw silicone. And this is what was needed in order to make the respiratory parts. These are the kinds of jobs that we now need to start looking for. We need to now start looking for not what is right now, but what will be in the future.
Okay. As you know, the economic development income tax is 0.25% on incomes. How would you spend that money?
Right now, I would like to see where there are shortfalls in the budget before I'd say I would spend it here, here, or here. I think that sometimes people make gut reactions to an answer as opposed to actually studying what is needed, why it's needed, and is that the best and most viable and sustainable way to use the money.
Okay, Andrew?
Well, from what I see back coming up, I was basically raised in the 2nd District, coming from the Charleston area. And the potholes, the abandoned homes. It was once upon a time, Charleston area was a very beautiful area. And my goal is to I can't bring it back the way it used to be, but bring it back as close. It was a family gathering. People was safe in going out. You could even leave your doors open. You know, you wouldn't have to worry about criminals coming in, individuals coming in, to hurt you or anything. People took care of their property, and that's another thing, taking care of your property. What I would like to also establish is a fine, something not so difficult to pay, but a fine to keep up your property, keep up your grass, keep up the area. So I'm into beautification. Also, I would like the neighboring centers that we do have to be able for young people and young adults to enjoy and have a good time. And at the same time, if we can bring in some neighboring centers for trades, because young people need jobs and they need a trade, they need a skill. And I would like very much for that to come to the 2nd District. But we do need a lot of beautification. And then when you look in the Black Oak area, I'm just using that example. I'm concerned about Griffin. I'm concerned about the unincorporated area of Calumet and Gary. We just need beautiful. We just need everything improved. When I said back to the Black Oak area, when you go through the Black Oak area, you see this standing water. Well, we got a sanitation district. They got a vector. They could come in and drain that water. I can imagine how those individuals feel during the summer with that standing water that brings on mosquitoes, disease, et cetera, et cetera. We have tools. We have, and then during the spring, during the fall, come with the leaves, we have recycling machines. We have vacs that they come in and pick up the leaves from Gary, Calumet, and Griffin. I would like to see it being used. We have that. I want to all the material, all the machinery that we have. I like to see it being used wisely for the people, because we too much. And then my biggest thing is eradicating all the abandoned buildings and depravity. We need to improve our area. We do.
Okay. One of the big areas of spending in the county, as you mentioned, Carolyn, is the jail. Why don't you talk about the issues at the jail?
Well, possibly I'm one of the few candidates that, because of working with voter registration, I've actually been in a jail. And there is a serious overcrowding situation. However, that is being worked on by the sheriff and his department. The bigger problem at this point, and there's also been the use of the ankle bracelets. There have been some alternative sentencing. There have been some changes. One of the things that they're still using monies, and they need monies for the inmates. One of the things that they aren't doing that I would like to see would be that while they're there, and I have talked to the sheriff about this, very briefly, Sheriff Bunsage, is that there are programs that the inmates could be working on while they are incarcerated, such as there's actually and they're doing this to some extent. There's a program where veterans need dogs to keep them calm, and they're not seeing eye dogs, they're companions. And right now there are certain inmates that are working with the animals from animal control, so that these animals then can be given to veterans for calmness. I would like to see some more programs similar to this, where in fact when these people come out, they actually can either have a skill, some training, but it's more than just housing them. One of my biggest concerns is that I would like to have a way for when a juvenile is in the juvenile center for any length of time, that we make sure that they're actually receiving an education. I don't want them sitting there, just sitting there. I would like to see very much where we're doing something, whether it's a GED program, whether we get something working with AmeriCorps, whatever. But we do something so that if they are in juvie center for say 6 months, that during that 6 months they can either work to get to grade level or maybe even above grade level. I'd like to see them even learn a trade. There are programs where you can get an associate's degree even in nursing in 15 months. Why can't we get these students, why can't we get these people in there so that when they come out, they're not just on the street ready to go back? We don't want them to come back to the juvie center. We don't want them back in the jail. When you're asking about the jail, one of the things that we need to figure out is, why are the people there? Sometimes a lot of them are there because of minor drug charges. The question becomes, how long should somebody be kept in jail for possession? Is this the best usage of our tax dollar? If someone has committed murder, I want them there. I don't want them out. But if someone has a joint, how long should they be in jail? How much of my tax dollar should go to keep them there? When we're looking at the jails, I I applaud the ankle bracelet program. It's well run. It's one of the better run programs in the state. Because of that, it has allowed persons who are serious criminals, like murderers, to be in jail, but others, while they are waiting trial, they can go to work every day. They can actually be with their families. We don't want to break up families. We want to make sure that families can stay together as much as possible. When they are on an ankle bracelet, and sad to say, there are people on ankle bracelets that are 8 and 9 months pregnant. If they are on those ankle bracelets and they are out at home, then the county is not liable for anything that could happen during a delivery. And that's something we have to be very aware of, is making sure that we reduce the county's liability. Because every time something happens, remember, we're talking tax dollars going to pay for it. So those would be my concerns about the jail right now.
Okay, Andrew.
Okay, by me working 17 and a half years at the Lake County Juvenile Center, the kids were in programs to help them with their GEDs, etc., which was good, boys and girls. And I felt that was a good program, but we didn't have programs for as, at the time when I was there, for as drug abuse, anger management, things like that. I agree with Ms. Seaton when she stated about programs to help our youth, for as rehab, for education. We do need more trade. We need more programs for learning skills, for as welding, electrician, plumbing, bricklaying, things like that. Working as a probation officer, I was inside the jail. During that time, the jails was pretty bad. And the government stepped in, with the federal government stepping in, saying they got to improve the jails, which they did. But we need to stay, my job, my goal would stay focused on the treatment and the conditions of the jails, and are they being kept better, as by the federal code or by the federal procedures. The men do have a lot of idle time, especially like in the jail. They need some time for, like I said, for drug. A lot of people in there for drug abuse. A lot of them for anger management, et cetera, et cetera. And that would be one of my goals to observe and to try to improve.
Okay. Did you have questions? I've been
No.
okay.
It's fine.
And probably we should talk about, where in the budget do you see cuts possible?
I would think, I'm thinking that some of our, now I might be touching on toes, but I think some of our administrators make too much. I think the money should be a little bit spread a little evenly among the employees. And to keep good employees, you got to take care of them. I mean, for as salary-wise. A lot of times to make it in this day and age, you got to work 2 and 3 jobs. I remember in the time when I was working at the county, I had at one time worked 4 jobs. I used to work 120 hours a week to take care of my family because the money was not enough what I was being paid at the juvenile center and as a probation officer. So I took other jobs to make ends meet. And it's the same thing now. The employees need more money. So I would like to look at the administrators' jobs and look at them very carefully and see. I think sometimes they would put freezes on our salaries, and we wouldn't make anything, but never was a freeze on the administrator's salary. So I think we need to look at the administrators. Do we need as many administrators that they list? because we need good security. For us to be for us to grow, we need good security.
Okay.
Well, one of the things that I would look at is how many people are there that are part-time but are receiving full-time insurance benefits.
Yeah.
I would also look at how many people are in the county that are not qualified for the positions that they're holding. Because if someone is supposed to be a computer technician and they don't know how to turn the computer on, I kind of question why are we here and what favor are we fulfilling. I would also look very closely at, of all things, the take-home cars, because there still are a lot of them. The amount, and right now, with the price of gas being what it is, I would question the usage of the take-home cars. I would also, and this might sound really crazy, I would like very much to do an energy audit to make sure that the building is in fact green and keep it as green as possible. There are a lot of times that something as simple as changing a light bulb really will save money, and thousands over time and thousands over the amount of buildings and facilities that we're talking about that's owned by the county. I would also want to look at even the heating systems, the air conditioning systems. Are they energy efficient? Again, this might seem like a little something now, but each little penny adds up. It's not necessary, we may have to look at cutting some salaries. We may have to even look at cutting some personnel. But we also have to first look at what is the county doing, not to the best, most sustainable level before we start talking about getting rid of bodies. Is the county doing everything it can first?
Okay. We should probably talk about, mass transportation, especially buses.
Yes.
What do you see as the county's role in that?
Well, first of all, when you're looking right now, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that if in fact you live in Griffith and you're trying to get to Ground Point, there is no bus. There is no way to get there with mass transportation. If you're going from Gary to Crown Point, it's a day's journey. And you're not supposed to have to go a whole day to literally get less than 20 miles. What ends up happening is that there is one express bus that goes part of the way there, and then it's consistent stops the rest of the way. It runs on the hour, every hour, and it takes approximately, and mind you, this is going from downtown Gary to Crown Point, it takes approximately an hour and 45 minutes one way. That's insane. We do not have, in Northwest Indiana, we have very poor public transportation. We do not have a system whereby if I have a very low paying job, but it happens to be a good job that I enjoy, and it happens to be in Hammond, I have a very difficult time getting there. We have to work collaboratively to increase and improve the transportation system throughout Northwest Indiana. And that's including our buses and even possibly even increasing or thinking about having some type of taxi service. I'm really intrigued by what's being discussed by the South Shore Line about increasing ridership and how they want to work to increase ridership. As on a county level, we have to think in terms of what can we do to help these people make it better. I think that when you were asking about the monies and how would we use monies, this could be a way that once we look at the entire budget, this could be a way that we could put monies into transportation, both with the bus system as well as with the South Shore. When you start thinking in terms of transportation, you also have to start thinking about major roads that the county has control of, because remember, it's a lot of this, we have no control over city streets, we have no control over state highways, we have a very finite amount of roads that we have control over. We have to make sure that those are usable, and we have to make sure that anything that's necessary, and we have to also think in terms, when we start thinking of transportation, it's infrastructure. And are our roads going to the places where we need them to go to get us into businesses? One of the problems we've had with several of our larger employers is that there was not a direct route to get to them. If we don't have a way to get to them, the employees can't get there, and they can't get their goods out, and that's important.
Okay, Andrew?
Well, I basically agree exactly what she's saying. We need a better transportation system for, the sake of the people, so they can get better jobs, because right now it's difficult, like you said, a person, if they wanted a job in Griffith, in Lake County, in Maryville, or in any area, especially in 2nd District, if they don't have automobiles, and a lot of them don't have automobiles and can't afford insurance. So the cheapest and the easiest route would be through the bus services. Yeah.
Okay. Carolyn, you ran before for assessor, and there was a whole big controversy. Where do we stand with that?
Well, first of all, there was a lot more in the newspapers that was actually true. And it was never where there was any type of, it was always a misdemeanor. It was never, and that was never even, I was never really charged with the misdemeanor, because of what was in the newspapers, which again, a lot of it was hype. That it made it look like I was a bad person, which I'm really not. A lot of what was in the newspaper, and it was interesting because one of your reporters told me that I was the best thing that happened to the Times because I was selling newspapers for you. And that really hurt my feelings, because I never thought of the Times as being that kind of paper. So I think that a lot of it is much to do about nothing, but it was more a way to hype up something that wasn't true.
Legally, where do we stand?
Legally, at this point, I have not been charged with anything. Legally, I have a hearing in September.
Okay. We should probably ask you one final question. We're running out of time unless you have a question. We should ask, what's the primary difference between you and your opponents?
Want to go first?
I'll let you go.
I think one of the primary differences between myself and my opponents is, number one, I'm extremely well educated. I have extensive experience working with not-for-profits, working with for-profits, with large businesses, small businesses. I have negotiated contracts with international as well as international as well as intranational companies. I have also worked at all levels. I've worked both with on the city level as well as other levels of government, county government, and others. I have been very involved with the community. I am right now an active member of approximately 20 social and service organizations. I think that one of the basic differences is that I am very qualified, very able, and very ready to serve. I think that I would be an asset both to the community, my community, as well as an asset to the 2nd District County Council seat. One of the things that by my serving on the Lake County Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals for over 10 years, I have an accurate, very accurate idea of the amount of tax dollars coming in, how we can in fact increase tax dollars coming in, and where the shortfalls are.
Okay, Andrew?
I feel that by working for first of all, coming from being raised in the area, I work private, county, state. I've been a motel owner over 28 years. Working on all county levels, worked in also working in the hospital for over 30 years in behavior medicine. I feel I bring a lot to the table. I'm a hard worker. My record proves it. The jobs that I have worked prove it. I feel that I would be a good representative for the for the 2nd District Councilman, and I'm willing to work. I'm not a talker, I'm a doer.
Okay. Well, I'm afraid that's all the time we have. Again, I'm Doug Ross, editorial page editor at The Times, here with Andrew Ledbetter, Carolyn Seaton, and Krista Savanovic, our assistant managing editor. I should point out there are 2 other candidates who were not able to be here, Elsie Franklin and Arcella Moxley. Thank you for viewing.
Thank you very much for having us.